Hello students, I am Hina Khan. Today we will study a poem from First Flight textbook. The name of the poem is Dust of Snow by Robert Frost. The poem is very short of 2 stanzas of 4 lines each. We will read the poem, I will explain the meaning and will also discuss the different literary devices or poetic devices used in this poem. But before this, I will just give you a brief description of this poem. In this poem, the poet is talking about dust of snow. But here, dust doesn't mean any dirt. It means fall of snow, pour of snow. So, once somebody falls the snow on poet and then he experiences sudden change. These all experiences he has described in this poem. Before starting, let's discuss about the poet. The poet Robert Frost is a very famous American poet. He writes poems depicting the realities of life. He is a well-known realistic poet. Through very simple sentences, he presents a deeper meaning in his poem. Okay, tell me one thing. You all must have heard many times people saying, if cat crosses on the road while you're walking, then it's not good. Something bad will happen or your day will not be good. Another example is where we find people in the society believing that crows are the symbol of death. They are considered even as bad omen, symbol of darkness, gloom, sadness, etc. But let me tell you one thing, these things are just makings of minds. And Robert Frost, through this poem, wants to convey us that these makings of minds are completely wrong. And how he explains this, we will read and try to understand the poem. The way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. Now first of all, hemlock tree is a poisonous plant with small white flowers. As you can see in the image, this is hemlock tree laden with snow. It's quite similar to pine tree, but its branches are comparatively soft. Now here in the first stanza, the poet has used 2 symbols, crow and hemlock. Here hemlock is linked with sadness, despair, loss of hope. Similarly, crow also symbolizes here bad omen, sadness, despair, gloom, etc. So, the poem is set in a scene where the poet is in a bad mood and is walking by a tree. That is hemlock tree. As he passes by, a crow happens to throw snow dust on him. Now, here he says, the way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. That means as he passes by, a crow happens to throw some snow dust on him. Whether it falls on his head or shoulders is unknown, as there is no specific mention in this poem. Also, now we don't know that how the snow falls by the crow, whether it falls because the crow was landing or whether the crow was shivering with cold or it was readjusting itself on the branch or it was taking off. It happened to send some particles of snow upon the author. But it is not mentioned in the first stanza that how the crow makes the snowflakes falls on the author. It is unknown here. Here, the poet says that the way a crow shook down on him some dust of snow from a hemlock tree has given some changes in him or has made certain changes. And what changes it has brought, that we will read in the second stanza and try to find out. Has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. Now in the first stanza we have read, and with the symbols like crow, hemlock tree, we have understood that the poet was in a sad mood. Okay, the symbols or the agents of nature, the hemlock tree and the crow, are signifiers of sadness and gloom, just like the poet's mood was in the opening scene. So We know now from the first stanza that poet was not in a happy mood. He was certainly in certain bad mood or depressed mood. Now, because of the in the first stanza, that because of certain movement done by the crow, there he has felt certain changes. So what changes? It is given in the second stanza. Has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. So because of the movement of the crow, the poet felt certain change of mood, okay, in his heart, and because of this, now he has saved some part of a day which he had rued. The poet says that because of certain reasons which are unknown here, he was having a terrible day. But the falling of the snow on his head has lifted his mood instantly. Instantly means very quickly. He had already spent his day in a bad mood, but the rest of it was now saved by the crow and the hemlock tree. Okay, so now overall the poet here tries to convey the message to us that generally hemlock tree and the crow, which are used for negative references, but the poet used them beautifully to portray that inauspicious things can also bring joy and happiness too in our life. One must not take things for granted and should be open and accept whichever way the nature chooses to bless us. It wants to tell us that even small things can also bring some changes in our life, in our mood, as we have seen here the hemlock tree and the crow, which are negative references. They have also brought a change in the mood of the poet from sadness to happiness, and this has made his day saved. Rhyme scheme is the pattern of rhyming words at the end of each line, and you are familiar with this. Not all poetry has a rhyme scheme. They are not hard to identify, but you must look carefully at which words rhyme and which do not. Now if we see the poem Dust of Snow, the first sentence is the way a crow, and the second shook down on me. Okay, now here the first sentence last word is crow, and the second sentence has the last word me. So now the first sentence, the last word crow, we will denote it as A. Now shook down on me. Now this last word of the second sentence me does not matches with the word crow. So we will denote it as B. Now third sentence, the dust of snow. Now the last letter of this sentence again matches with the first sentence last word. So we will again write it as A. From a hemlock tree. Now tree matches with the sound me. So me and tree are similar. So we'll denote it as B. Has given my heart. Now heart, does it match with crow, me, snow, tree? No. So we will give it as C, or we will denote it by C. A change of mood. Now mood, is there any rhyming with the other words in the previous sentences? No. So we will denote it by D. And save some part of a day I had rued. Now this part word again sounds similar to heart. So we will give it as C. Of a day I had rued. Now rued matches with the word mood, and we have denoted it with D. So here also we will denote it by D. So here now the rhyme scheme becomes A, B, A, B. It becomes A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D. So this is called rhyme scheme. Now let's see literary devices of the poem Dust of Snow. Now the first one, rhyme scheme, we have already seen, that is A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D. And the second one is alliteration. Alliteration is nothing but the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. Okay, so here whenever the letters are repeated, that is called as alliteration. Now if you see the examples here, has given my heart. So here H is repeated, has and heart, H. Then next example, and saved some part. So here the two adjacent words saved and some has the same repetition of the letter S. So this is an example of alliteration. Now the next literary device is inversion. When the structure of a sentence is changed by the poet to create rhyme, this poetic license is called inversion. And this can be seen in the stanza first. as the first stanza consists of a rhyme scheme ABAB and it changes in the second stanza as CD. Now next literary device is assonance. Now here it is nothing but the prominence of a vowel sound throughout a line. Like in stanza first, line 2, shook down on me. Here the vowel O is prominent. So this is an example of assonance. And the last literary device used in this poem is enjambment. When the same sentence continues to the next line without the use of any punctuation marks, it is called as enjambment. It has been used throughout the poem. Now, if you see the poem here, the way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. Now, here, if you notice, there are no punctuation symbols used in between the poem. The starting sentence is continued throughout till the end of the poem. The way a crow shook down on me, there is no punctuation symbol here, no pause. The dust of snow from a hemlock tree, the same sentence is again continued. It has not ended. Has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. Now here, at the end of rued, there is a full stop. So, when any poem is written in this structure where the first sentence continues till the end and there are no punctuation marks, that is an example of enjambment. Okay, so I hope you have understood. Thank you.